Hello and welcome to Finding Your Holy Grail. I'm your host, Mandy Simon. I am joined today by my very special guest, Vanya Silverten. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Mandy. I look forward to journeying with you today.
Thank you. Will you just start out by telling our listeners at home a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, so I have been a transformational energy healer for over a decade. I've been teaching students to learn the theta healing techniques. I've also taught a lot of healing classes over the last 10 years in 6 different countries. I've helped thousands of people progress on their spiritual path. And I just love watching people transform. I love watching people find their blocks and then getting aha moments and then learning just to step out and awaken out of it so that they can master their lives. So that's that's it in a nutshell. And then I've also done a lot of women's work too, because I think women are very special creatures. And their sensuality and their sexuality and their ability to harness love and generate love for this world, I think is really important. So a lot of work for women as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you for your work.
You're
Truly, it's
welcome.
incredible. And before we got on video today, we talked a lot about just the importance of love. And before we get into this, I think it would be really nice for anyone at home that doesn't have a background or understanding of theta healing to just give them a quick synopsis.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful modality that allows everyone who chooses to use it to connect to the divine energy of the universe. And you can call that God, Allah, the creator, whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, because we each come from different walks of life and we have different words to use that. But it's that divine source energy, which is the place of pure love and abundance. And
Mhm.
theta healing gives us the ability to tap into that energy. And through that, we have our intuition awaken, but we
Mhm.
can use that energy to start to access and recognize the limiting beliefs that are in our subconscious, heal it
Mhm.
and transform it. It gives us the ability to access that divine energy and help us to awaken to new consciousness, so we can use it to download information. Like some of us may not know how to love ourselves or may not know what abundance is. So sometimes we need to get those codes, those teachings downloaded so we can use it that way. And it's also a really beautiful technique to, again, tap into this divine energy to create healing in the body, physical body,
Mhm.
healing in the life, and also to help people manifest. Because, at the end of the day, we all got to learn how to be conscious creators. That's what we're here to do. So it
Yeah.
also helps us with that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I personally have had my own experiences with it, and it's quite interesting because there's nothing terribly mysterious about it in terms of being accessible to anyone,
Hmm.
as you were saying. And I think one of the things that you and I were talking about is that, each of us, we have our gifts. We don't always know what they are. But
Yeah.
one of the most fundamentally important aspects of this life that we learn that tends to be a beautiful experience is when we start offloading our conditioning of um, whatever our limiting beliefs are. So, between the age of 0 and 7, we have this terrible record that plays in our heads that if somebody says you're worthless, we take this forward as a belief in our lives. And I think that this is one of the most incredible, powerful aspects of theta healing is that this is one of these examples of where you can actually recode that subconscious belief inside of you to be able to offload it in such a way that you can be what I call the person underneath, right? Who we truly are. And I find this to be so powerful. And as you were talking, I could feel you reflecting on experiences where you've seen this happen.
Yeah, totally. I've seen people, just simple things like recognizing that they no longer have to fail in life. Like many of
Mhm.
us have been taught by our teachers that we're not smart enough, or we've been taught by our parents that we're not good enough. And so, or even just life experiences can make people feel like they're failing. And to have someone finally step out of that mindset can be so liberating. Just the fact that they no longer need to fail, just the fact that they no longer need to think that their future will fail or their projects, or just to step out of that and to go, actually, to transform and go, actually, I'm capable of succeeding. I'm capable of being amazing at what I do, can be such a big transformer in someone's life, because every limited belief we have is actually a little prison that stops us from actually reaching our potential. So
Mhm.
to be able to unlock it and to free you from that little prison is so liberating. Yeah, so I love watching that transformation that people can go through from
It's
the
a
limited to the limitless.
Yeah, limitless, absolutely. And as we're in this world now, in what I characterize as the post-pandemic world, because I don't think that we have an understanding of a different world anymore.
Yeah,
Um, and really recognizing the amount of fear that comes in, and I see this as a subconscious fear, even more than a conscious fear. Like we can see the conscious fear if we're watching the news, or which is the 1 hour story on a 24-hour cycle, and these types of things. But when we really think about the things that transform us, we know that the two strongest emotions in the universe are love and fear. and
agree.
and so let's talk a little bit about the role of love in terms of people's transformation, and how this can really help us as individuals, as a community, as a planet, as an entire humanity transform ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So, love is the core to everything. Like love is the core energy of the divine force. Love is the core energy of what our soul wants to experience here on earth. I really think we're here to master our lives with love. Like we're here to learn how to master our lives through love,
Yeah.
through in our relationships, family, workplace, in our ethics, in the way that we do our business. We're here to master love. And love gives birth to many virtues: patience, tolerance, kindness, wisdom, intuition, courage, patience. It gives birth to so many virtues. And we master our lives by using these different virtues of love to master our lives. Sometimes we need to be more patient or courageous in order to master our lives. But the problem is that we're not gifted with the purity and the magnitude of love, because many of us have been born into families, have had experiences, have had troubled relationships where love's gotten corrupted inside of us or distorted. And love then becomes, love is painful, love hurts, love rejects me, I'm alone in this world. Um, you know, uh, Love is abusive, whatever that story is, I'm unable to experience love, receive love. All of that can really deeply corrupt someone. And we all know, like, if love is the core and love's been corrupted, that then moves into, I've got low self-esteem, I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough. It goes into confusion, self-doubt, stops you from thinking clearly in the mind, because you're more filled with negativity, because love stops negativity, love stops that fear.
Mm.
And so if that distortion of love is there to begin with, it makes it very hard for us to progress in our lives. And that's why people go on a healing journey,
Yeah.
to untangle that mud inside so that they can return back to love, um, to be able to use it appropriately, apply it, feel it, experience it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to describe it. And I love how you are able to layer on all of the things that it manifests as in our lives: the lack of self confidence, we have self doubt, we have the tangled upness of love, right? And I also really enjoy the word that you use, story,
Yeah.
because story is where it allows, from my perspective, for us to be more objective about our experiences.
Yeah.
And so if we're able to say the story I tell myself
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
then we're removed just enough to have a little bit of perspective that allows us to perhaps shift. And when we shift, it is something that you can feel in your heart when
Yeah.
that happens, because it's like it unclamps that piece
Yeah.
that allows you to breathe in and breathe out in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And that space can bring new inspiration, new thoughts, a new way of looking at things. It brings detachment. It can
Yeah.
bring so much healing, forgiveness. So, yeah, that's, even if it's a little space, it can actually do a lot. you know?
Because we find that it can be cumulative, right? Like everything else in our life, the parts that are negative that keep piling up, the positive can chip away at it a little bit and open up a bit more space each time. I I really appreciate and love how you're thinking about this concept. And I wonder what is the event or the events in your life that really allowed you to access this understanding of the world?
I had a very crazy childhood, like very crazy, like super crazy, very crazy parents. I come from the first marriage. Both my parents ended up having 3 marriages after that. I went to 10 different schools, changed 13 times, lived in 8 different family scenarios. So my whole life was connection and breaking, connection and breaking, connection and breaking, connection and break, different scenario to form another unit where
Mhm.
there was love or whatever. And I just remember getting to 20 and being really confused by life, confused about who I was. I was filled with anxiety, riddled with self doubt, all that stuff. And I had to take myself on a healing journey because I knew if I didn't, I would have a corrupted life like you repeat the pattern, don't you? Because what was happening,
Absolutely.
yeah, I was starting to
Yeah.
attract people in my life just like my family. I
Yeah.
actually thought if I moved to the other side of the world, I'm Australian, I bought a one-way ticket. I thought if I moved to the other side of the world, then all my troubles would go away because I wasn't around my family.
Mhm.
But that isn't true, obviously, because what was happening is I was attracting people like my family into my life because I was still resonating with those belief systems and those ways of thinking or accepting that behavior is normal, if that makes sense. And I was like, right, I got to heal. So I went on a healing journey. Theta healing came into my life. And then when I started becoming a professional healer and teacher, I was like, oh, that's why I went through all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So that I can just be so open to whoever comes and sits in front of me, whatever walk of life they've been through, I can feel and have compassion for
Mm.
the depths of their challenges because on some level I've touched upon it in my life, so I get it. And it was almost like a relief. It wasn't like, oh my God, my life was so bad and terrible and it stunted me. It was
Mhm.
almost like, oh, that's why I went through because now my purpose is stronger because of that, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's been the journey, and it's been a lot of work. It hasn't been easy. It's been
It's
challenging.
it's so beautiful. Yeah, of course. And it's so beautiful to hear you talk about it and open it up and be so vulnerable. And I love what you're sharing and I so appreciate it.
Yeah,
And all of us can relate to this, right? We all have these things. And as you're talking, I'm reflecting for myself and I'm according to people a very fierce person. I don't back down from things. I handle my life head on. I do these things. And what I've come to realize is that the thing that is our greatest superpower, so in mine, it's being able to handle whatever comes to me, is
yeah,
also my Achilles heel. And the
yeah,
reason it's my Achilles heel is that I developed that muscle out
yeah,
of survival. And
yeah,
so learning how to thrive in life is a completely different experience than learning how to survive in life,
yeah,
right? And it's like two sides of this coin. It becomes the paradox of all
yeah,
of our lives.
yeah,
So I have these images running through my head as you're speaking, where you're like, breaking connection, making connection, breaking connection. And I'm thinking about how the work that you do now is really as product of exactly what you're saying that you went through. You don't get stuck. You can actually move forward because you understand how to put the pieces back together, but
yeah,
in a way that's meaningful.
yeah,
And it must be so empowering, especially given the way that our planet is going right now with everything from the pandemic.
yeah, totally. Because it gives you a creative ability to know that A, you are the master of your own destiny so that you can reorganize life to suit you. And I guess B, it makes you look at any adversity or any challenge not as a imprisonment or not that you're restricted. It's just that, oh, this is the terrain that I'm playing with this. There's some challenges here, but yeah, I want to create this or I want to move into this. What do I need to do to unlock that, shift that so that I can get to where I'm going to? What do I need to pull together or have in my life now so that this other stuff doesn't weigh me down? So yeah, it makes you that creative master of your own life by going through that process. And that's power. That means that
It's sheer power.
it's
Yeah.
power. That's the
Yeah.
power, that's
Yeah.
power. Because let's face it, life's always going to have these ups and downs. Life's always going to have a challenge. If it's either a world pandemic, it might be that your partner loses a job and then you're left with a financial difficulty that you have to reorganize. Maybe it's a health thing. Life does throw these interesting curveballs
Yeah.
sometimes, or these challenges or life lessons.
Mhm.
But when you can be that creative master, it's easy. It's not a curveball. It's not a challenge. It's like, okay, a little bit of a different clay to play with, but okay, this is some extra stuff I need to work through, and I'll learn what I need to learn because everything's an amazing learning experience,
Yeah.
and that makes the next creation more amazing. So yeah,
And this is truly powerful hearing this come from you because, you know, for people to be able to get to speak from the position in which you're speaking with such personal conviction and experience is
yeah,
something that they might go out and try to pay mindset coaches to bring them to this point.
yeah,
And and the thing that we truly understand is that everything has to be in intention, not in belief.
yeah,
And so this is where I find mindset to be a really complicated scenario when we're trying to get from point A to point B, because if we're applying is mindset and we don't understand that that power is from within, that is a true intention, which is the healing space you're coming from.
yeah,
Um, I don't see this as achievable.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And I think the reality is 9 times out, I swear everyone can find that power inside of them. They'll feel it. It might sometimes feel small at times. It might feel the bigger stuff's bigger or the challenging stuff, but it's there. And we have to train ourselves to find it, hear it, know it, see it, act from it, speak from it.
Yeah.
Um, and it will, the more you do that, the more it'll untangle all that mind stuff, the more it'll untangle that emotional stuff, the more it'll untangle the complications.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's really, really powerful. It's so beautiful to hear you talk about it. And it's
mm,
incredible this journey that you took yourself on. I love this part about, moving halfway across the world. And I forget exactly how the saying goes, but my mom says it all the time. And she's like, well, wherever you are, there you are, right? Like you're the one, you're the source. So if you're going to move to Australia, it's all still going to be right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally,
And I
totally.
and I live, 6,000 miles from where I grew up, so I can completely relate to this point of view.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. And it just to makes you realize how much of vibrational energy beings we are, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, now might be a really nice time to share with our viewers at home what
Mhm.
you're making available to them so that they have some way to learn how to access some of this power. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a beautiful free online course called Rebirth into Love. And
Mm.
it's a gorgeous journey to help you unlock and unravel all of your love distortion so you can find that deeper soul light inside of you or be guided by it.
Mm.
Um, and it's a beautiful journey. There's like 8 different meditations there. And I send all my clients to it. Often I have a session with someone, I'm like, I don't even want to have the next session with you until you've done that course because I know I'll fast track you so I can take you to another level, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and it's totally free and totally available. And you can find it on my website, which is myname.com, www.vanyasilverten.com. And you just go to free resources and you'll find Rebirth into Love there. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, it's a gorgeous course, gorgeous go-to course for everybody,
Right.
children, your
Right.
partner who might need it, your mother who desperately needs it, whatever the
Wherever they are, right?
whoever
Whoever
they
they are. Yeah, wonderful. And for all of our viewers and listeners at home, it is listed on the speakers page and in the email that we sent you today. But I'm just going to spell your name, which is www, and then it's .v as in Victor, ANYA, and then last name Silverten, SILVERTEN
Mhm.
correct?
That's
Dot
correct.
com.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
perfect.
That's wonderful. I think that it's incredible how, I mean, here we are 12 months after the pandemic started. And so, although you and I are in the same country at this time, I could be in a different country speaking to you. And it's just really amazing to me how, through this online digital interface, we're able to connect people to so many resources and opportunities that may or may not have been available to them before the pandemic started. But this space is really instrumental in allowing us to connect people to individuals like you that are doing this work.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And thank you for holding this space,
you're
and
welcome.
thank you for holding, it just goes to show the depths of your wisdom and consciousness to be able to pull out information from me, and I'm sure from all your other guests, information that I haven't even thought about. So it's been a beautiful journey for me to be
Thank
here with
you.
you as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's such a pleasure for me. It's such a joy to do this because I get to come into contact with all of you.
Yeah.
Uh, and one of my favorite things is, toward the end, sometimes we all end up connecting in some way. So who knows what kind of work you'll create with someone from the series, or who knows what we'll go on to create. It's hard to say. Um,
Absolutely.
really amazing. Are there any thoughts at this time that you'd like to share with our viewers at home before we go?
um the only thing that comes to me straight away is tenacity, and I think being more tenacious, having that
Mm,
little bit more of tenacity, being so deeply motivated and pulled by your own light, by your own energy, is something that we all need to really master, and to be tenacious with that, where
mm,
challenges don't bother us. Things might go a little bit, it doesn't matter. You can just keep that energy going. And I think the more we can do that, the faster we'll get to our purpose, but the more creative we'll get, the less downtrodden we'll be, the less imprisoned we'll be by even our own stuff, because we're following that more tenacious glow inside of us. So that's what comes to me.
beautiful. It's beautiful. And it's so evident in you while you're sitting here, while you're talking, as you speak this through you. It's 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 a real inspiration. It's beautiful.
Mm. You're
Yeah, really wonderful.
inspiring me.
Thank you, Vanya. Thank you so much for being here today and helping us to create this space. And
Lindsay, thank you. Mhm.
thank you so much. And to everyone at home, I hope you enjoyed this. We're so happy to have you here and watching this. Write to us. Let us know what you think. Jump on the Facebook page. Tell us what's going on. So we really look forward to interacting with you. Thank you so much. Okay.
Mhm.
Thanks.